What's up, MTG Arena fans? A few days ago, I built a bear tribal deck on stream, and I want to share with you exactly how that process went and what our final results were. For those who don't know, I make my deck's budget by only using a total of 4 rare/mythic cards in a deck, so playset's worth. I also decided that I needed a specific end goal to call our deck a success. The requirement is pretty simple. I must win 6 out of 10 games with the current version of the deck to deem it a success. So the first thing I needed to do was take a look at what bears the game had to offer. It became quickly apparent that our best course of action would be a mono green deck. Next, I needed to take a look specifically at our rare/mythic options, and we had a few. But before committing to any, I wanted to take a look at our common/uncommon bears to look for any potential synergy. I then began throwing together all the decent bears that I could find to get a general idea of what we're working with. Going back to the rares, I decided to start by adding 2 copies of Ayula, Queen Among Bears, to our deck. Next, taking a look at our creature's stats, I conclude that Goreclaw won't work well, as we simply lack creatures with 4 power, making the cost reduction it gives pretty meaningless. So that's out. But at that same moment, I'd make the executive decision to add 1 copy of Lukamina Moon Druid. It doesn't start out as a bear, but it has an arena-specific ability called Specialize, which will allow it to change into Lukamina bear form, which not only makes it a bear creature, fitting our theme, but can provide a much needed buff to our creatures in the form of +1/+1 and Trample. Our last rare pick goes to Wilson Bear Comrade. It has crazy value for only 2 mana, and I was slightly concerned about running 3 copies of Ayula simply because of the legendary rule. And Wilson also has a specialized ability which could provide some needed mid to late game value. I stopped to take a look at our mana curve again, and it seems solid so far. Next up is our win condition. How are we gonna win? What is our win con? Clearly, it's by swinging with bears, right? So what I want is to buff our entire board and then swing out, right? And I land on 2 copies of Overcome. That leaves 10 card slots left in our deck. I then look at removal and protection spells. I add 2 copies of Tamiyo Safekeeping and 4 copies of Blizzard Brawl. Blizzard Brawl fits our deck well because we'll actually be utilizing snow lands due to our copies of Spirit of the Aldergard. Sadly, I only own 2 copies though, and don't have any more uncommon wildcards, so we take a trip to the shop. I pick Kaldheim packs because the card that we are looking to craft, it is already in Kaldheim, so there's a chance that we pull it, and therefore don't need to waste a wildcard on it. I quickly open 15 packs, and then I look up Blizzard Brawl to see if we managed to pull any. Dude, we got 2 of them. In those 15 packs, we got 2 of them. We don't have to spend a single wildcard on it. That's super lucky. With those added to the deck, we only had 4 deck slots left, and I felt like we needed more early game draw. And I ended up choosing Rune of Might because it could permanently give a creature trample while also drawing us a card. I do remember to swap out our regular forest for snow-covered forest. Now the only thing left to do is give the deck a little bit of character. We choose Vivien as our avatar because we have her bear in our deck. And then we pick out the most perfect sleeves ever for this deck. I've never used this sleeve, right? Like, it's pretty cool looking. But I feel like, oh, whoa, what am I doing? We have a bear. We have a bear from Post Malone's event. You were able to win all of these sleeves. Bro, it's literally perfect. We round things out with a green dragon pet, and then it was time to hop into our first match. The first few turns go by with our opponent doing literally nothing. On turn 4, they finally reveal their game plan though, and cast Tempted by the Auric and steal one of my bears. For each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that player controls with mana value 3 or less. Yo, what? The game progresses with my opponent stealing another one of my bears. Bro, this guy is pissing me off. I'm not liking this at all. But we persevere, and thanks to some Blizzard Brawls, our deck is putting the beat down on, well, our deck really. We kill our own Ayula. Dude, this is garbage. This is my deck playing against itself. This is not me playing against an opponent. This is trash. With my opponent's life total fairly low, I decide to pump my board and go for broke. I'm gonna try to go for lethal. We win. All right, that's that's the first game. I'm gonna try to squeeze in the. I was gonna try to squeeze in the good game. We earn a few mastery orbs from that, which I quickly throw into the Vorinclex line, and then it's on to game 2. My opponent has a good start by opening with a turn 2 Lotus Cobra. It's gonna be tough. We definitely need our fight spells. We need our removal soon. At first, my guess was that they were Temur Elementals, but then I decided that they were probably just Gruul Landfall. On my opponent's next turn, though, they cast a Skyclave Relic, and I didn't really know what to think at that point. All right. Again, maybe I was right the first time. My opponent then throws another curve by revealing that they're actually a Temur Landfall / Mutate deck. Landfall decks that I see We got Mutate going on. I don't know what's going on with this deck. So anyway, we continue our game plan of play bears. We run into a small speed bump called Phylath World Sculptor, but a combination of Ayula and a Spirit of the Elder make quick work of it, only for our opponent to drop a significantly more annoying threat. There are some pretty busted combos that I've shown on my channel. They're pretty nuts. Speaking of pretty nuts, our opponent just played Skewed Swarm. That's bad. That's real bad for us. It was indeed real bad for us because I didn't have a way to destroy both of the initial Skewed Swarms in a single turn, which allowed our opponent to start going wide. We make a feeble, last-ditch effort to win by casting Overcome and swinging out. It's not enough damage. It's nowhere near. I think we lose this game. I predict that we'll lose this game, and just 2 turns later, I call it quits. Yeah, this game is pretty lost. I think we're just gonna call it here. Good game, opponent. Alright, so we lost game 2. That's fine. I take a quick look at our deck list because I feel like we're lacking in the 2-drop bears department, but I make no changes as we head into our next game. The first few turns are fairly slow, with our opponent using one of the new toxic cards and Eccentric to exile one of our bears, but it's no big deal. What the fuck was that? Oh, it's that, an Eccentric. Why are you running Dawnbringer Cleric with toxic? We proceed, just drawing cards and playing bears until our opponent tries to pull a sneaky on us. Then going to Rune of Might, targeting Circle of the Moon Druid because that would force our opponent to have to triple block it if they want to block it. Ooh, don't tell me you have like a negate or something. Okay, so our opponent just used Essence Flux in response to that. So that's weird. That's weird. They're trading out our Circle of the Moon Druid, I guess, to make this fizzle. In theory, not a bad plan, actually. But we got Tamiyo Safekeeping, so we're chilling. Luckily, we had an answer, so we managed to get our draw from our rune, keep our creature, and we even got back our initial Circle of the Moon Druid, all for the low cost of 1 Tamiyo Safekeeping. The game continues with our opponent finding more removal, while we find our Overcome and Ayula. With Overcome, we set our opponent's life total low, and Ayula helps clean up the remainder of his board. There. Alright, opponent takes 9, they go down to 4. Ooh, on that ETB. Do we go for the fight? We're gonna go for the fight. We're gonna completely destroy their board. They get no blockers for next turn, only for our opponent to blow up our board in response, and naturally, our next 2 top decks are useless. And of course, we draw double Blizzard Brawl, because why would we not? After drawing 2 Blizzard Brawls, a Rune of Might, and 3 lands, so 6 turns of nothing, I concede. Dude, I'm done. I am so over this match. If I get a bear, he's just gonna exile it. He has 5 cards in hand. Now, with a record of 1 win and 2 losses, we're 1-2 with the deck. That's a shit win rate. So things were not looking great for our deck as we headed into our next match, and I began wishing that we had access to a specific bear not found on Arena. It's this one. Ruxa, Patient Professor. 2 and 2 green for a 4/4 bear druid. When this enters the battlefield or attacks, return target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. Creatures you control with no abilities get +1/+1, like, I don't know, all the 2/2 bears. Like our 4/2 bear. That probably wouldn't count anymore, even though he is effectively a vanilla creature. And then you may have creatures you control with no abilities. Assign their combat damage as though they weren't blocked. So they can still get blocked and die, but you can just have all that damage hit face, which is nuts. By this point, our opponent had revealed themselves to be a Dimir toxic deck, so the race was on. Luckily, we managed to draw and specialize our Lukamina. So we're gonna go with Lukamina. Oh, I forgot it grabs a land. That's bitchin'. We're gonna specialize. Yeah. And we're gonna ditch that for us. Hell yeah, Lukamina bear form. With our opponent down to 7 life and us up to 6 poison counters, this was our opponent's best chance at killing us because they can swing 2 more toxic in the air, putting us at 8 counters. So if they can proliferate twice, we die. But they only play a Vraska. We got rid of the Owlbear. Ew, that's what it looks like. It's disgusting. And they couldn't even afford to swing. So let's see. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do, pig. We send that face. Good game. Let's go. Let's go, Lukamina. And just like that, we've got an even win rate again. In our next game, we go against a mono red burn deck and happen to draw our best card against them, Wilson. We're gonna go with Wilson. Opponent's playing mono red. If they have burn, they have to pay 2 more mana to, target Wilson right now. So that's pretty bitchin'. Also, take a look at the different colors of his specializations. I think they're neat. The match continues with our opponent using their burn as removal for our bears, and us just playing more bears. And it isn't until 4 turns later that our opponent finally manages to remove Wilson. And we're still chilling at 20. They're a burn deck. They're not winning this game. There's just no way. Risk factor. Good game. This puts us up to 3 wins and 2 losses, a now positive win rate. If we can score 3 more wins within the next 5 games, we'll have achieved our goal. We start our next game off very strong with a turn 2 Wilson, a turn 3 Lukamina, and a turn 4 Ayula. With 3 out of our 4 rares on the field, I was feeling confident. We managed to specialize Lukamina, making our board very threatening. As I swing out for lethal, I apologize to our opponent, who was clearly a new player considering that they only used arena base set cards. That's a good game. Alright, it was definitely a new player. Sorry you had to play against me, dog. In our next match, my opponent starts off by playing Dimir colors and passing, making me fearful of the worst. Our opponent is running counterspells. They didn't do anything during our turn, which is very unexpected. But luckily, they reveal themselves to be a dungeon deck, something that I'd much rather play against. Sararak, Arc Lich, Arch Lich? I say Arc. I was struggling to find a 4th land at this point, and I still don't top deck it, but we managed to find one off of our Rune of Might. Alright, come on, give me a land, dude. It's been like 3 turns. Thank you. While looking at the card Owlbear, I noticed a name that I recognized. The artist for the card is Aldergard, and I couldn't remember why that name seemed so familiar, but then it hit me. Oh, no way. No way. I think I just remembered exactly what card it is. Bro, this is my favorite card art I think of ever, and Ayula was the guy who drew it. The same guy that drew this Owlbear. Drew Wings of the Cosmos. You can see down here. This is one of my favorite card arts, like, fucking ever. It's hilarious. Wings of the Cosmos is just truly a hilarious masterpiece to me because of how well all of the wolves' reactions are drawn. The middle one is stunned to have sprouted wings, the right ones are curious, the back one is scared, and the left one is ready to fight / protect the cub behind it. It's just great, and I don't think we give enough credit to the artists of our MTG cards. But continuing on with the match, our opponent completes their first dungeon. Okay, you created what, 4/4 Death Touch? Thanks to the power of Blizzard Brawl, however, we simply don't care. I'm gonna go with Owlbear, and then we're gonna have something Blizzard Brawl right meow. Spirit of the Aldergard, I would rather give Indestructible to. Just in case our opponent has a removal spell. Boom, and that's good game, baby. That's game. Leading to another victory. At this point, we've managed to turn around our abysmal start and have gone from a record of 1-2 to 5-2, putting us only a single win away from achieving our goal. But Bears, 5-2, 71% win rate. We just gotta win 1 more game in the next 4, and then we're good. In this match, I take a quick peek at my opponent's library, revealing one of my biggest pet peeves in all of Magic. Spade, what are you doing, my guy? Why are you running? I can't even math right now. 76 cards? For what? For what possible reason do you need 76 cards? I firmly believe that if you can't make your deck work with 60 cards, you're building it wrong. And I know it's because people struggle to cut cards, but I'm hoping that this video will do well, so I'll continue making more and can better demonstrate how to make changes to your deck during the deck building process. So if you've made it this far, clearly you're liking the video, and you should help me out by giving it a like. Thanks. We continue playing on, losing our Wilson to exile. RIP Wilson. Yeah, well, I just have nothing to deal with that, right? And since we have no enchantment destruction in the deck, there's no possibility of us freeing Wilson. Then our opponent ends up casting a plate armor, which really confuses me. They've got elves, banishing lights, and equipment. All very strange. I'm going to go with Owlbear. We're going to draw a card. Their Land of War Visionary is doing a good job at keeping our board in check, so we just keep trying to go wider. Not finding the removal we were looking for, we say go, and our opponent follows up by developing another wall. We get a great top deck though, and set up to capitalize on it next turn. I'm going greedy. I'm going greedy as hell here. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. There's no way he board wipes, not when his board's looking this good. So I'm going to drop double Mother Bear. We're going to hold up the Tamiyo Safekeeping in case our opponent has removal this turn. And next turn, we're going with the Overcome. With only a Novice Knight joining our opponent's side of the field, we go all in. Alright, overcome this. What's dope about this is that we still have the Tamiyo Safekeeping up. After deliberating on which creature to keep alive, I choose to save Vivien's Grizzly by giving it indestructible, only to realize... And both Owlbears are dead. Oh. We had enough for lethal. Like they say, math is for blockers. Alright, that's win number 6. We did it. We made a successful deck list for bears. Overall, the brewing and testing for our deck only took an hour and a half, which is pretty quick, and this was the final deck list, which you can also find in the description. We got 4 Blizzard Brawls, which is, it fits the aesthetic. It does. The fact that there's a bear on there, I didn't even bring up that fact, but that's phenomenal. It's perfect. Let's see, 2 Tamiyo Safekeepings, 2 Ayula, Queen Among Bears, 4 Mother Bears, 4 Rune of Might, 1 Wilson Bear Comrade, 4 Circle of the Moon Druid, 1 Lukamina Moon Druid, 4 Vivien's Grizzly, whose ability we never used, but it's fine. 4 Spirit of the Aldergard, which is a very strong bear, 2 copies of Overcome, 4 Owlbears, and 24 Snow-Covered Forest. And that's it.